to Sister Show. My name is Juka, and we're super excited and humbled that you're back here with us on our platform. And this is a platform where we have honest conversations to inspire and empower pretty much everyone. And of course, we always bring you burning topics that always hits home, which is on the Hot Soup segment coming up later within this hour. And of course, we always bring guests for you guys, and the topic of conversation, and we think it's really important to have that discussion here on this platform, is mental health. This is something that we don't talk about often, and we want to bring it on this show today. So stick around. Of course, guess what, ladies? Or should I say hi to you guys first? Okay. Hello, sisters. Why you get it? No, hello. Hello, sisters. I'm going to try one more time.
1, 2, 3.
Hello, sisters. We are laughing because we've tried to do this trick several times, and somehow, somewhere, Miss Olay all the way in Las Vegas has been very delayed, so we'll try to have her catch up with us today. On that note, stick right here, don't go anywhere, and we're gonna have a great show for you guys. Like we said, mental health is coming up. We have 2 hot soups, by the way, and Amy, please close your mouth next time, because the last time you made the edit, this is your second edit, and you're gonna see that show come up. Anyway. Exactly. Anyways, we're gonna move right into this show today. It's gonna be a great show, guys. We also have something that's actually new. We have Sisters Chat, right? And you're gonna get to know us more from the Sister Chat. So we're excited about that. And we're gonna talk about who was your first boyfriend, Amy, and your first kiss, Dr. J, and what your first car was, your first hoopty. You guys know what hoopty is, right? Olay, you know what hoopty is. Amy, you definitely know what hoopty is.
What do you mean? I've never had a
Amy, you live in Houston. You know what a hoopty is.
No, not just because she lives in Houston. She had a hoopty first. Hoopty, if you're watching and you know what hoopty is, please comment below what a hoopty is. A hoopty is when you were driving in Corsicana, when you were first going to college.
I was not, so that's the good thing, because I was not driving, I was walking. I would use my feet.
There you go, that's a hoopty then.
So Dr. J, your 2 feet were your hoopty. Mm-hmm. So you walked to school. How many miles was that? You heard me. Next. Okay, Amy.
Yeah, petty.
This petty. All right. Anyways,
I'm really proud of my feet. I used to work like 45 minutes to go to work and 45 minutes back home, and then go to school and then go to my other job. I'm really proud of it. No wonder your legs are thick.
We insert Dr. J's legs. It's very okay. Let's go ahead and get this started. Let's move on to the show and stop fooling around, because you guys are watching. And again, don't forget, go ahead and comment below and share these videos as you watch it. And we will sit right here and have a great conversation with you guys today on this show. So we'll wait a few minutes so that you could share this video. And I think you just did. So thank you. Like I said, join that club. Share the video. Okay, what game do you have for us today on the Let's Connect segment?
All right, so Juka, in today's game, as you just mentioned, we're talking about a very, very important topic, which is mental health. One of the key things we want to do when dealing with somebody with mental health is listening. So in this game today, even though it's fun, but it's also educative. So we want to practice our listening skills, making sure we actively listen when we're talking to people, and also be intentional.
Amy, can you repeat what Olay just said? Let's see if you're listening. That's where the game starts.
The name of the game that we're playing today is... Yes?
There was no name.
We'll repeat what Olay just said. That's where the game starts. Let's go.
Can we just start? Olay, can you keep going, please?
No,
because you just failed. 10 points. You just failed because you're not listening. You need to be able to listen actively. So here's how it's gonna work. I'm going to come up with a sentence, and in the sentence, I'm gonna end up the last word of the sentence. And then somebody else is going to start a sentence with the last word that I ended up with.
And make sure you play along so that you will get a chance to actually win a prize. Who's starting first?
I'll start.
Oh, you don't trust Olay? Okay, go ahead,
No.
Amy. Start.
The elections these past couple of days have given me anxiety. Anxiety is a feeling of not knowing what to expect in the future. And it makes you very sad sometimes.
Sometimes when I wake up in the morning, I don't really feel myself. I feel tired, not very active.
Being active.
No.
You failed, just like Donald Trump, fired.
Fired.
Voted
Sorry.
out.
You're
Fired.
about to lose your job.
Active? Oh, I feel your pain. I am never active when I wake up in the morning, and it is so stressful. Stressful is one of the main symptoms or main factors that can lead to anxiety.
Anxiety is something that I sometimes feel when I feel like I'm overwhelmed at work or when I'm thinking of all the things that I have to do in the morning.
In the morning,
Mornings are my really?
Juka, you out.
Mornings are my favorite times of the day because I get to plan the rest of my day, and I am the most active when I wake up. Up can be a feeling of anxiety. When you feel
Hold on,
up,
what did you say?
I say up.
like anything that they say here, you have to be able to put that in a newspaper and people read it and understand this. This is a correct sentence.
Of course, and you come up with the word up. I just came up with the word up in a sentence. Like up can be a symptom. Yes, up, just up. What is up? Like your heart rate is up, your blood pressure is up. How can you have to be
Yeah, we
creative?
failed. We evicting you.
No, but you have to be creative. Okay, if I say up, no, that's not fair. If I said up, can be a symptom that's related to your heart rate, depending if you're anxious. How can that be wrong?
Hey,
That's not a correct sentence.
Let's vote. I say J fail. Olay,
They
what is-
failed.
Okay, that's fine. I say you go ahead and use up. Let's see. And it better be a sentence.
Don't worry, it will be a sentence. Losers on the side. Winners on the side. Okay. Up and down. Friends.
There's no word in a sentence.
No, okay, hold
So
on.
you fail.
Up and down are seasonal trends that we sometimes see in the stock market.
No, you're the one that forced fail. Why are you clapping?
I
You
know,
were
right?
fired long time ago.
Market prices can
And
really.
fail.
Market prices. You said
Fail.
market.
No.
You said market.
Yeah,
It's a
the
stock
stock
market.
market, Olay.
I
Market.
said
That's
stock
what you
market.
said.
Okay, go ahead.
Market prices can sometimes stress me out because there is no control of these prices at all.
All people may sometimes deal with anxiety, but there are some people that are higher risk of having anxiety issues.
Issues I deal with in my life affect my daily activities.
Activities sometimes do during the day by working out or meditation.
Meditation doesn't work for me at all, but sometimes you just don't know.
Knowing
But
So I always win.
that's not true.
I am actually
That's not true.
just, yes, it is. Go back and
No.
watch. No, listen to me. Just listen to me. It's all losers.
As much as I hate siding with you, I think you're right about that statement.
It's Jay. You don't know how to count.
Jay just lost today.
Yeah, this time.
Jay
But
has always been a loser. What do you mean?
Comment below if you think Amy's always the winner, and if I'm always the winner, the loser, they said. But okay, comment and let's keep it moving. And on that note, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this segment and move on to the next segment, which is actually why we're here today, which is to have the conversation on mental health. So stick around, don't go anywhere. And of course, like I said, stick around for the hot soups. We have really good hot soups and the sister chat. I'm excited for that one because I want to know a lot of things about you. Talk to me. Welcome back, everyone. And as we mentioned on top of the hour that we were going to have a mental illness conversation on the show today, and we're super honored that we have two amazing guests for you all. And of course, that is Stacy, who's here in the United States, and we also have Silver Lane all the way from Nigeria. And we will allow both of them to, of course, introduce themselves so that we can get into this really important and crucial conversation that we're going to have today. Hello, Stacy. Thank you so much for being here. We're super excited to have you. So Stacey, why don't you tell us about yourself, a little bit about
I'm
yourself.
a licensed psychotherapist practicing in South Florida, private practice, in an area called Coral Springs, Parkland. And I specialize mainly in anxiety, depression, stress, and PTSD.
That's amazing, Stacey. Thank you so much for being here to share your knowledge with our audience. We think it's really important. But of course, let's say hello to Silva Lane, all the way from Nigeria. Hi, Silva.
Hello.
You look beautiful. We're super happy to have you here.
Thank you.
Silva, can you tell our audience a little bit about you before we get into this conversation?
Okay, my name is Silva Juka. I'm a nutritionist by profession, but I'm a mental health advocate in Nigeria.
So thank you so much, Silva, for being here with us. We appreciate both of you all, and I think that it's really important for us to have this conversation on the sister show, like we said. But let's get into this conversation. Stacey, what exactly is mental illness, and why is it important for us to actually discuss it here and everywhere in the world?
Yeah. And I so appreciate you kind of destigmatizing mental health. It's so incredibly important. So I like to think of mental health as our emotional and psychological well-being that helps us throughout every situation in our life. And some of us have more resilience, maybe based on childhood factors or trauma factors than others. And it's how we kind of deal with situations in our lives.
Well, thank you, Stacey. I think that was really important, and the way you defined it very precisely. People deal with stress differently. So depending on how your anxiety level is or how your stress level is, depends on how you react to it, which is very important. Some people, like you said, don't have the resilience to deal with stress, and that makes them even exacerbate their problem even furthermore.
Can someone have mental health and really not know it? Because the way you describe it, it seems like it's not something physical that somebody can see. So how would someone really know if they have mental health issues or not?
I think that's a great question. And I think we probably have all known people, or maybe even have people in our lives that are extremely irritable, depressed, maybe even difficult to be around, and you notice it and you feel it, but yet they don't. And I think that that's a really interesting factor, that maybe they don't even realize it until something does happen where they might really need some psychiatric help.
So let's say as a family or friends of people that we observe that exhibit those symptoms. So what could we do? Is it like talking to them, asking questions, or do we just wait for them to come out to us?
I think the answer could be so varied. Simply spending time with this person, talking to this person, validation. And that's a huge concept with mental illness and people that are suffering, to sit with them and validate what they're feeling and what they're going through. You might not understand it, and it might be really confusing and scary, but if you validate them and make them feel heard with whatever they're going through, it really helps them. And it would help the entire family.
I do know of some people, right, that will probably not even want to have a conversation. Maybe they'll have themselves locked up in a room a lot of times, like, you know, and just be antisocial, right? But we don't see it as, we probably just see them as being antisocial and not think nothing of it. And this is someone probably who don't like to talk about anything. They don't even want to have a conversation with you. So how do you deal with that person? Like, how do you get them to even talk, to start the help?
Okay, so if this is a person that's at risk to themselves, you know, suicidal, or a risk in any way, self-harm, or at risk of hurting somebody else, of course, measures need to be taken right away. I'm a true advocate in talk therapy, but I do agree that in some instances, medication is necessary. Not that I would ever push medication or anything like that, but in some instances, medication coupled with a type of therapy, talk therapy, CBT therapy, even something called EMDR therapy, would be really beneficial.
Mental health issues in Nigeria is different from what you have in the West, because the major problem we're facing here is lack of awareness. The population here are not aware that mental illness actually exists, so people lack awareness. And when someone has a mental health issue, they don't even have who to approach, who to talk to. Even their families are not even aware when someone is suffering from mental health. So the problem, as a mental health advocate, the major thing I do is to teach people around about mental health, to tell them that actually this thing exists here.
It's real.
It's like it's real. People are actually depressed. It's real.
Is there also some part that is some people that are in denial? I think that we have two different sections of this. You have some people that are just in denial, family members that are in denial, and you also have people who just don't know.
Most people know that depression is a mental health issue to that extent. It's just very few that are aware. And the truth about it is that a lot of people are suffering from depression, mental health issues, especially depression, like the common one among young people. Mental health issue that is recognized in Nigeria is actually when someone is mad. That's when, okay, they will now say, yes, you have a problem.
Just to be clear, when we say someone is mad in Africa, what we really mean is the person is in deep trouble, like they're on the other side. It's more than depression, and it's visual. Yes. You could physically see it, right, Dr. J and Stacey, right?
Yes. Usually when someone is in psychosis, where they are totally distorted, their mind is almost gone, they cannot have a rational thinking, that's when they refer to the person as mad. That's when they really think you have a mental illness. But when you're functional and you have depression, anxiety, and you can get up and go to work, or you can get up and function at some limited level, you're not considered to have a mental illness until you're actually in psychosis, which is absolutely true.
And you guys all will agree, and this is our reality, most of them still wouldn't even consider it as a mental illness. They think somebody did it to them.
So based on like what Silverly mentioned, it's like the lack of awareness, right? So I think that's why, Juka, what you were saying, in Africa, a lot of time when we see somebody, and we have to see like the physical aspects of it, right? Before we actually say that, oh, this person is mad, like Silverly said, or this person is crazy. And that's all like to the lack of awareness. It's by the World Health Organization. It says about 20% of the world population actually have mental health issues. Right, that's a huge number. That means that 1 in 5 people. That means how many of us are here today? Like 6 of us. That means 1 of us is actually suffering from mental health. Sometimes when people are exhibiting the symptoms, they term them as, oh, like in Wolof, Kidafareo, like the person has no home training or something like that. Like
lack of physical symptoms that people can exhibit for other people to see, that makes it even harder for people that are around you. Let's say if you have high blood pressure and you have a headache, you can lay down and you can exhibit symptoms. But with mental illness, most of the time, like Olay said, in our society, people will say, oh, she's just rude. She doesn't like to talk to people. She likes to isolate herself. She doesn't like people. Those are the things that they will say. When the person is actually exhibiting symptoms, lack of awareness does not help that individual. So the person gets even more isolated because they get irritable, they're difficult to communicate with, they're difficult to live with. So when you have someone that has depression that lives in a household, most of the time they even get worse because the people don't want to talk to them because they were like, oh, she's so rude. You can't even communicate with the person because they get that irritability. They're easily agitated. They get angry easily, which are all symptoms of depression.
If someone is going through these issues in terms of depression, etc., how would they even determine who to talk to? And also once they find out like who to talk to, like how can they bring up this topic?
Well, first of all, I just want to say Silverline is doing such amazing things, kind of getting the word out there in Africa is really phenomenal. And to almost, kind of recruit other people to do what you're doing. What comes to mind for me is psychoeducation, the psychoeducational component to it, where perhaps the person that's ready to kind of come out with their mental illness to their family, that's a huge step. That's a huge thing. And if they truly are ready, perhaps they can find research or go online and really say, this is what I have and this is what I'm going through. Not, like you were talking about being angry, and that it shows up as them being angry, when in truth, maybe they're fearful or depressed or whatever it is. If they have social anxiety and they haven't left the house, they're not necessarily wanting to be antisocial, but they have a fear. And so perhaps getting some real content so they can show their family members, this is what I'm going through.
But in most instances though, these people don't even know that they're going through something themselves. These people don't even understand what they're going through. So now the real question is, how does the family, how does the mothers, the parents, the loved ones, the wives, right, the spouses, let me say rather, how do you now approach this situation? How do you get this person help? How do you even start the conversation?
With my experiences in Nigeria here, before the case of depression is seen, I won't say it's something that they keep to themselves, because in Africa we have an expressive society. Like, we are more of community united. So when someone is passing through something, you can actually see it. When they get depressed, like, this thing is not a serious issue, the person needs help. So most times you now see them going to suicide, going to substance abuse, going to different kind of mental issues. So that's what we have here. They come out, but people are not aware. They complain. Like, one of the symptoms, when you see them complaining of a particular thing, like this thing is bothering them, they're expressive. If the relations are aware, then they can seek help. But because they're not aware, you now see them go into different type of mental issues that might be maybe too late to resolve.
And I think that's huge, because that is, you're noticing someone having negative thoughts, negative cognitions, some that might not even be accurate. And that's when people tend to go down the rabbit hole or spiral into negativity, and all kinds of things happen. So it is key during that time to stop that and implement skills and activities and different kinds of things to encourage positivity and to encourage looking at a situation in a completely different way.
And if you're watching, and of course, if you know anyone that you think that will definitely benefit on this video, please go ahead and tag them. I think it's really important, even if it's not the person, but the family members, so that we could all be a community to help. And like Stacey just said here, towards the end of the show here, we'll definitely bring in some solutions, which is very crucial to this conversation. So stay tuned for that. Don't go anywhere. What impacts do you guys think it has in society, the family members, since this is like a community thing, in order to treat or to help people that have mental illness? It doesn't only start and stops with the person, but also the whole community.
Everything in terms of medicine affects society in general, especially mental health. Because like all of you said, most people are not aware. Most people don't even recognize the signs and symptoms early on to intervene to prevent psychosis or to prevent complications from the illness. So at the end of the day, it impacts society in general. It affects the household. It affects the well-being of the household, sometimes financially, not only emotionally, but financially as well.
It's like the hamster wheel. You lose your job and then you lose your money, and that continues to have mental health issues, because now you're not working, and now there's the stress of that and the depression of that. So it's all intertwined, and it is a real family issue, and it's very, very difficult. Of course, there are people out there that can work pro bono, or there's inexpensive ways to get mental health, but having the family support is really key.
The financial burden is mostly with the families that are suffering from mental health, because there's no really support from the government. Even most times, if you're having a mental health issue in your office, you lose your job and you wouldn't even be paid maybe your salary, your normal stuff. You just lose a lot of stuff. So the financial burden for people suffering from mental health in Nigeria, the burden is mostly on their families. And that's why you see that when someone has a mental health issues, like maybe psychosis, even seeking treatment is very expensive that they cannot afford. And you now see them to the extent of even locking such individuals in the home. Do you get that? They can't do anything because you can't pay for your treatment. So what's the next alternative? They begin to lock the individual, they self-manage the person. So that's what we face here in Nigeria.
I think Sylvain mentioned the fact that sometimes, in Africa, and I would say in general, the families do suffer with the financial borders. Having someone in your family that is going through depression or mental illness is not the easiest thing. And people would easily just want to point fingers to that family and stigmatize it as if, you know, it's such a big thing and it's such a huge thing that's happening to this family. But it's really just almost about someone in a family having migraines or having high blood pressure. It's just an illness. And I don't think society should stigmatize these things and make it seem as if it's such a big deal. If you can't help someone, if you can't jump in to help and offer help, I think you should kind of take a step back and just not say a thing. If you have nothing good to say or nothing good to put on the table for the family to help them, I think you should just step back.
To that point around, if you don't have anything good to say, I think it was maybe last year there was a video making its round on social media. I think it was an older lady, and I believe a lot of people started pointing fingers at where's the family, right? So I think a lot of people are very, very quick to jump in and maybe think that, okay, the family is not doing enough, but they don't really know that the family may face in terms of dealing with somebody with mental health issues. It may have been the family have exhausted all the options that they've already had. They pretty much at a standstill. And so also the family may also actually even feel guilty. Like Amy said, it's just an illness. It's just a disease. Like if somebody have diabetes, usually what happens, like, of course, like if you have diabetes, you may try to manage it on yourself, but at some point you have to go to the doctor. So it's the same thing.
Nigerian couple that live here in Texas, in Austin, who Dr. Mams actually walked with the lady. Her brother was going through mental illness, but was living with them inside the house. She knew that the guy was having an episode, so she locked herself and the kids inside the room, but didn't think the guy was going to harm her. So she just called the brother for extra help with, you know, and not call the cops. But before the brother even get to the house, the guy already killed her in front of the kids. So sometimes I think once you realize that there is an issue, like this person is getting aggressive without even a weapon, just go ahead and seek for and call the cops for help.
So when